Sorry to disappoint.
We're excited. Got a lot of juice.
Let's see, what do we got? It's great coming back home right now. I know, we've just had a tough stretch of the schedule, playing, 3 of the first 5 games on the road. Obviously, it's a tough way to start off, playing 3 top 25 teams. Within that stretch, a tough way to start off. I thought our guys have battled. I think we've improved a little bit from week to week. I look at last week's game a lot. I guess probably what I thought it was from the sideline. I didn't think we played great. I thought Texas A&M played very well, and I thought all the things we did to win on the road at Auburn, they did to beat us in that game. And it is, when you break it down, if you want the simple aspect, it's pretty simple to see when you're going to win and how you're going to win and why you're going to win. And that was pretty obvious watching all the film from that game. So, but we're back at home now with this stretch. Obviously, a tough game this week with Troy. You can see with a new head coach. Guys are believing in the system and what they're doing. You watch them on film; they play really, really hard, running the football well. I know we've played them a couple times in some close games, and going to be a good challenge for us. And I think one of the things in college football today that it's very obvious. You see week to week, you don't come out and play well, you're not going to win, and it doesn't matter if you're the number 1 team in the country or you haven't won a game. If you play really well, you got to have an opportunity to win. If you don't play well, you're not going to have an opportunity to win. So we got to have a improvement as a team. We got to improve as individuals. We got to improve as position groups, improve as offensive and defensive kicking units, and we got to improve as a team this week and come out and play at a high level to have a chance to win on Saturday.
Questions?
Give an update of the players who were left Saturday's game.
Kendrick Market is going to be out for the year towards ACL, which is a big, big loss for us. Everybody else is going to be questionable. A couple guys questionable this week. Gabe Miles be questionable. Rufus Warren questionable with the ankle. We'll see how they feel. We rested a lot of those guys yesterday. Joe Morrow will be questionable this week. Who else am I missing?
Will Redmond.
Will, the ankle, he did practice yesterday, but again, we'll see Tuesday. We'll have a better idea of it, I think, Tuesday for those guys. But the only one that is a significant injury was Kendrick. With our trainers, they felt pretty positive about everybody else. Weren't sure if guys would be back. Gus Wally, he didn't play Saturday. He hurt his hand in practice earlier in the week. We held him Saturday to see, if he's going to have the opportunity or not to play this week. They didn't feel great about him playing last week, and it was on the edge. We just decided not to put him out there. So he'll have a chance to come back this week.
With the depth that you've created, is it easier to come back from those injuries than maybe it would be 3 or 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, I think, I think guys understand within the program, guys got to step up. I don't know. You look, in a short term, possibly, the next guy will step up and do it because someone's coming back. In the case of Kendrick, I don't know because, he's such a great leader for us. He's one of our best football players. He might be the best football player on our team. Just in what he does, maybe not the most talented guy or the superstar out there, but just all around football player and what he brings to the defense. That's a huge loss for us. But I think for us, how we've built the program with some depth. I think when you do have an injury come up, the drop off in talent hopefully is not going to be as big as it was probably 7 years ago when I got here.
Brendan Bryant played a bit last week, especially after Kendrick went down. Can you just talk about what do you think his role is moving forward now that Kendrick is out?
Well, I mean, it's obviously all the safeties' roles are going to have to increase. I mean, he's the guy that you want to play every snap of the game, and everybody else rotate from the safety position. So that guy goes away now. So everybody's role is going to have to really increase, and guys are going to have to grow up in a hurry at that position. I mean, you look at three of our safeties. Brendan Bryant, Jamal Peters, and Mark McClure, and this is their first year playing college football, and being on the field in games. So with that, a little bit of lack of experience, they're going to have to grow up in a hurry, especially some of the challenging, the explosive offensive teams we're going to be playing, like Troy coming up here this week.
Kind of staying on those same lines, a couple of redshirt freshmen, Deion Calhoun and Elston, have kind of got a little bit more involved in the offensive line. I noticed Deion played multiple series for the first time this year in the SEC game. Talk about their progress.
Well, I mean, that's part of what we want to do. I mean, we like to get those guys in and be able to roll those players. And they're the first two guys off the bench on the O-line. And so, when you look at that position, what those guys are doing, to get them out there on the field and get that experience, and they're working and improving. And I think that helps, because as you do, it is a long season. As guys get banged up and dinged up, you're going to have to play more players. Guys are going to have to be ready to step on the field and play, and it's our job as coaches to make sure we put them in a position to be able to and be ready to go do those things. And so the more we can get those guys in, the more we can evaluate how they play in game, the more experience they get in the game. And hopefully they're playing well enough. I mean, as you can see, they're playing well enough to earn more reps each week, and I think that keeps guys fresher. I mean, these are physical games we play when you're playing in the SEC. So the more guys you can rotate, the better off you're going to be.
Remember you said you liked the run game progression against Auburn. Did that continue to progress against Texas A&M?
I thought, you look, I still think we had a ways to go. Statistically, we ran the ball okay. I think we were just under 200 yards. I like to be well over 200 every game running. But I still think it's coming along, again in that game, and there's some situations in that game maybe that dictated a little bit. We were behind, and we fell behind early, which you didn't want to do, and we missed some opportunities early on offense, so kind of dug ourselves a hole. But I think statistically, over the last couple of games, we're running the ball a little bit better, and we want to keep progressing that. Ideally, to me, I want to be balanced. And if you look throughout the years, I want to be balanced. There's years we run more than we throw. Sometimes that's personnel or game situation oriented. Other times we throw more than we run a little bit. But in the end, an ideal day is 50-50 run pass with, 40-some points in offense and 500-some yards and 40-some points on offense with a pretty even balance between the two. You go home feeling pretty good that the offense is in the right direction when that happens. I imagine most people would, though.
How big do you think the spring was from Malik Deer just to get on the field this year?
Well, I think in a lot of ways. Number one, physical conditioning really helped him. He came in a little heavy and started working to get himself in shape. I don't know that he was really ever in shape in the spring, and over the summer he started getting himself in shape. But to be able to ready to play. But I think that opportunity is huge because you get to install an offense in the spring. When you're here and the guys are in the summer and they do their workouts on their own in the summer and they're doing stuff. A lot of the new guys have never even been taught anything, so they're just trying to pick up what they can pick up. Malik, who's already learned it all, kind of has a good idea what's going on, and then when you install it in training camp, there's recollection. It's not the first time I'm hearing something. So anytime you graduate high school early, it puts you in a much better position to play as a freshman. And so I think I've seen him progress over the last couple of weeks. You always feel good. You put the ball in his hands, good things usually happen. But I think he's becoming more comfortable with how he's blocking, some route running. He running some routes, catching some balls that way, and I think obviously, to answer your question, that coming in spring really helped that out a lot with his confidence in knowing the offense.
How do you kind of assess Aries' play the other night outside of that fumble and inside the red zone? Did you feel like he was doing everything he needed to do?
Yeah, I mean, Harris gives you great effort. You know, I mean, I watch him, you know, he plays a lot of special teams for us. And, you know, and he's a redshirt freshman. He was, you know, out of position on one special teams play on in a return game. And then really hurt us, gave up our big return. He was out of position there for us. But, you know, I mean, does a great job. Kickoff return, made a couple nice blocks. Kickoff coverage, he really strains, runs hard down the field that way. You know, I mean, you know, when he snaps at running back, he's progressing. You know, I mean, he's come along. He's a young player that's learning. You know, this would be big for him. You know, I mean, here he is in a big game, makes a mistake in a big game. How you respond to that really is critical in your development. It won't be the last mistake that he makes. During his career, I would love to say it would be, but it's not going to be. And you know, and so I mean, how he reacts to this is going to be big for him taking steps forward.
Looking at Troy with the new coaching staff coming in, is there a drastic change schematically with them?
Well, it's different. I think you see a lot of similarities because you know, a lot of that stuff all goes back to the. A lot of coaches all come from the Troy system, you know, which Coach Blakeney had done a great job building and you know, getting all these coaches out throughout the years and developing coaches that had come through there. I think there's not a different philosophy. There's different personality, but this philosophy is very similar.
Has a running back emerged through the first 5 games, or is it still by committee? Or
No,
what
I think, you know, we'll just keep rolling. I mean, the guy's through. You know, I don't know that one's jumped out to be, you know, or one's fallen behind. You know, I mean, I don't know that anybody's moved ahead or fallen behind. I think, you know, all those guys are going to keep playing them. You know, I like to play the young guys and keep getting them reps even more and more in the comfort that they get out there on the field. As we move forward, I think as a whole, we got to play more players. You know, I don't think we're rotating enough on offense or defense right now. And I think we got to really, as a coaching staff, be a little bit more conscious of what's going on, how many reps guys are getting in the course of the game, and that we're continuing to develop guys and getting guys where the proper rep count for people is, where they can perform at a maximum level.
He doesn't get a lot of headlines or anything, but Darren Hutchinson got a start this past week at A&M and things. What does he bring to the table for you guys?
You know, I think, you know, the one thing with Hutch, and it was a tough deal for him. The shame, as a junior college player, he came in and he played right away last year. You know, and didn't go through spring. Came in and played in the fall and played in a limited role. You know, you're starting to see him take the steps forward right now. You wish he was he had another year left after this. For me, and you know, it's one of those things when you look at developing players, and guys that come in late, why it's not bad to give them that learning curve year, because I think you're really looking at him. You know, he's got great size and athleticism. He's a tough matchup out there on the field, and he's really learning the offense and how to play at SEC speed right now. So, you know, I think he's starting to really develop into a much, you know, into a player we thought he could be. But a lot of times in the evolution of players, this is about when it kicks in. And, you know, he just was forced into action because of injuries early last year. There's no players today. They got to keep
7 fumbles this year. Have you seen them self-inflicted, or are they caused by the defense? What have you seen by?
Well, a little bit of everything. You know, you worry if it's in one situation or if it's one player. 2 of them are on special teams. Right? There's a bear after a catch in the game the other night, and Shumpert going into an end zone. You know, I mean, the worst one to me is 2 of them by running backs going into the end zone. Those are 2 that really jump out at you in there. Gus had a big fumble after a catch. You know, so it's there's not a pattern of it. You know, I mean, I don't know if anybody don't think anybody's fumbled more than once. You know, it's 7 different players in 7 different scenarios, you know what I mean? And that's the frustrating part about it. I mean, I guess the only one that's similar are the running backs when we're going into the red zone, and those are 2 that really hurt you, you know what I mean? Yeah, you look at the red zone scoring in games, a lot of time that's going to determine the outcome of the game. And it certainly has in all of our games this season.
With Kendrick, the second injury that he's had, is there any discussion with the medical red shirt yet, or something to discuss in the future?
Yeah, he can't.
Okay.
Because he played, that was the 5th game of this year, so that's beyond the limit of it. And then the last year's injury came after the season, in the last game of the season. So, you know, unfortunately, I mean, that's, you know, that was probably his last play of his career, and that's you know, which is a shame. You never know when it's going to end. And for a young man that is done so, I mean, an amazing young man. I mean, laugh at me. He's 5'8", 195. He runs probably a 4.75 40, and he's, you know, been an impact player in the Southeastern Conference. Just shows the type of person he is, and the man he is, and the work ethic he is, and how successful he's going to be in his life.
Kind of jumping off that, I mean, how important do you think Market will be for some of those younger guys moving forward for the rest of the season?
Well, it certainly hurts a lot because, you know, he's a guy right now that you want to learn from. You know, I'm a young player. I want to be like Kendrick Market. And so not having him out there and not having them to be able to learn how to be like Kendrick Market is tough. But I'm sure, you know, I mean, he and I have met, and having it just happened, you know, we'll see, you know, I mean, what role he feels comfortable in moving forward. You know, I mean, he's got everyone's support, certainly for what he's earned within our program.
Just 3 turnovers created by the defense. What needs to happen to get a little more?
You know, we talk about that. You know, a lot of it, I think a lot of times they come in kind of bunches. I think we had the opportunity and missed a couple of interceptions. Probably, you know, I mean, you go back, I think, you know, we've missed time. I think Will's, twice I thought Will had an interception, and, you know, somehow we didn't catch the ball. You know, they're both kind of baffling to me in that way. Like, you know, it's like from the sideline. You know, we dropped one the other night. You know, I think we got to do a little better job getting pressure on a quarterback and getting quarterbacks uncomfortable to throw us the ball in that situation. And causing fumbles, you know, I mean, that's something, to me, I think we just got to continue to run the football. We got to strain. I think, bless you, I think, you know, I think rotating players is going to help us a little bit in that, you know, of getting more guys on the field and getting fresher guys and playing at a little faster level with guys running the football is going to help us out with that too. But you know, we talked to our guys about it. I think also though it's going to come when they come. They're going to start coming in bunches, and we just got to be ready to take advantage of it.